Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Additionally, from December 12th, 2019 through January 27th, 2020, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a Theros Beyond Death Draft Booster Box. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the link in the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. Welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where we're going to talk about all things that are going on in the secondary market. It's another slow week overall for the market, but compared to last week, you're going to see there are some signs of life showing up here or there, especially when we talk about commander cards later on. Quick reminder though, before we get into it, we are doing that promotion right now with Flipside Gaming, so when you use the Heroes promo code on their website to save money, you also have a chance to win a Theros Beyond Death Draft Booster Box. Check out the description below for all the details, but without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with Standard in your top 8 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week. Right now, Standard is pretty soft because we are about to move into a new Standard. This has been a super awkward season overall for Standard. Hopefully, things will turn around with Theros Beyond Death. Number 8 is Arclight Phoenix, down 83 cents to $12. This is a card that was printed in the Arcane Tempo Challenger deck, so there are some extra copies circulating out there. Keep that in mind. When it comes to gameplay, this is barely seeing any Standard play right now. It is seeing some Legacy play, and I will say the Pioneer Izzet Phoenix deck that started off pretty high, started to taper off a little bit, but now it's surging back. With the Oko and Nexus of Fate banning this week, there is a possibility that that deck could surge more, so keep an eye on this card. Number 7 is Vraska Golgari Queen, down 85 cents to $16.77. So this is seeing less Standard play since Oko has been banned from the format, but it still shows up in Sacrifice builds, Golgari Adventures, and more. It's also seeing play in other formats like Pioneer, Modern, sometimes Legacy. So this is a card that is soft right now, but also could maybe stabilize quickly, perhaps even go up a little more. Number 6, Knight of the Ebon Legion, goes down 88 cents to $7. Here's another thing you're seeing this week. You have a number of cards that are actually doing well in the Standard format, but because they're a little more expensive, people are laying off them because everything's about to change. This is a perfect example of that. This is seeing play in Knights builds right now in Standard. They're doing very well, even though it is the end of the season. Pioneer, this is good in Vampire builds and Mono Black aggro. Little surprised to see this card go down as much as it did this week. Number 5 is Assassin's Trophy, down 89 cents to $17.91. This card has been pretty hot recently, so you're seeing some retraction this week. It's seeing play everywhere. Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and even Vintage. Number 4 is Brazen Borrower, down $1.43 to $24.90. This card spiked aggressively a couple weeks ago during the Mythic Championship because it was showing up in so many decks. Since then, it has been normalizing down a little bit, which isn't unexpected, but it's still performing extremely well. In Standard, it's in a lot of places, including the very popular and very successful Simic Flash deck right now. Outside of Standard, this is seeing play in a lot of other formats as well. Still very popular in Legacy. You'll find this in Delver builds, Control builds, the mere Death Shadow decks, and more there. Number 3 is your latest Commander staple that came in the Brawl decks from Throne of Eldraine. This is Arcane Signet, down $1.50 to $8.28. Very popular card. A lot of players trying to get copies of this thing for their Commander builds. However, there are more copies of those Brawl decks getting out into stores now, so this does soften up a little bit. Number 2 is Korvold Fate Curse King, down $1.79 to $19.73. This is the non-foil copy you would find in Collector Boosters as opposed to the foil that comes in the Brawl decks. But again, with the greater distribution of Brawl decks, this card is softening up a little bit this week. This has been fantastic in Standard ever since we lost Oko in that format, because the Jund Sacrifice deck has been very good. Aside from that, it sees a little Pioneer play, and it's also a fantastic Commander card. A lot of people have been building around this recently. Number 1 is Hallowed Fountain. This is the original one from Dissension. It goes down $1.79 to $28.13. This is just stabilizing off a pretty big spike we saw last week. And I like to keep track of these older, especially original versions of cards that are harder to find in good condition, see how they're moving, because that could be an indication of how the other variations of the card could be moving in future weeks. In this case, though, I wouldn't feel like the other copies are going to drop off that much, because this is just a huge mana-based card in Standard, Pioneer, and Modern. In Standard, this is in Jeskai Fires, Azorius Control, Pioneer, Azorius Control, and Fire Super Friends, Modern and Control builds, and a lot more there too. Okay, on to the top 7 Standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 7 is Starfield Mystic, up 39 cents to $1.58. Sure, this card has seen a little bit of increased commander play recently thanks to Alila Artful Provocateur, but another reason it's going up, and maybe the bigger reason right now, is just speculation around Theros Beyond Death. Obviously, we know enchantments are going to play a big role in that set. A lot of Enchantment Matters cards are coming to Standard, so this card is starting to go up in value already. Number 6 is Aether Gust, up 39 cents to 189. Great sideboard card for both Standard and Pioneer. At times, this has even seen main deck play in those formats. But regardless, this is going to continue to see a lot of play in the future. Number 5 is Overgrown Tomb, up 46 cents to 1103. This is the one from Guilds of Ravnica. You're going to find this in Jund Sacrifice, Golgari Sacrifice, and also it's a big mana-based card in Pioneer and Modern too. Number 4 is Sorin Imperious Bloodlord, up 91 cents to $12. This was a huge Standard card last season. Of course, when rotation happened, it lost a lot of its vampire buddies, but the card is still good in Pioneer. Mono black vampire decks are doing really well there. Number 3 is Casualties of War, up $1 to $2.53. Big Standard card right now. This is in food builds, adventure builds, Golos Fires, and more there. Also in Pioneer, you'll find this in Fire Super Friends and many other decks there. It feels like it's gaining momentum in that format too. And remember, this can take out a target enchantment, so this card might be getting even better with Theros Beyond Death coming. Number 2 is Snapping Drake, up $1.38 to $1.97. This is the one from the Core Set 2020 Blue Welcome deck. 2 copies are found in that product, and the reason this is so inflated is just because those Welcome decks are given out for free to new players at game stores. Not a lot of people are selling those cards online. Because of that, you're seeing these weird inflated prices. Don't pay this for this type of card. Also, this was reprinted in Mystery Boosters if you're looking for a unique copy of the card to throw in a deck for some reason. Number 1, the Great Henge, goes up $1.49 to $14.30. Many times you'll find this in adventure builds, and this is just a really strong card. Seeing Pioneer play in Mono Green Stompy, Elves, other decks there too, and it's a fantastic Commander and Brawl card as well. Okay, on to Pioneer with your top 8 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. Pioneer is still kind of in a weird spot. This week we saw the banning of Oko Thief of Crowns as well as Nexus of Fate. These weekly bannings have really gotten people nervous about buying a deck or starting to put time into a deck. So these cards aren't moving as much as maybe you would anticipate for a new format. But Wizards did say sometime in January they are going to stop the weekly bans. Maybe then things will start to normalize a little bit, but let's see what's going on here. Number 8 is Voice of Resurgence, down $1.13 to $13.09. This is the one for Modern Masters 2017. And this card has been going up in value quite a bit recently, but I do think it's about time that it's going to lose quite a bit of value. Here's what's happening with it. There was some interest initially because of the Commander 2019 Primal Genesis deck. It was a good upgrade there, or maybe you just wanted to build around Garrett Conclave Exile, for example. Also, there's been some additional Commander interest recently because Reese the Redeemed was reprinted in the Mystery Boosters, and of course this card typically shows up in those builds. But the main reason it was spiking was because of Pioneer. There were high hopes that this would do well in the format. Hasn't really panned out. Unless something changes, this will lose more value soon. Number 7 is Mana Confluence from Journey into Nyx. It goes down $1.17 to $23.83. Similar to the previous card, this spiked pretty heavily because of the Pioneer format. But the difference is, this is actually doing pretty well in the Pioneer format, seeing play in a lot of different places. Also sees play in Legacy Dredge, and it's a great commander card. I do expect this card to maybe come down a little more before it stabilizes, but it's not going to lose a ton of value. Number 6 is Supreme Verdict from Iconic Masters. It goes down $1.21 to $17.09. This card has been spiking pretty heavily, again, because of its involvement in Pioneer, so you are seeing a little retraction here. But it is seeing a lot of Pioneer play, and Azorius control builds are doing really well right now. In Modern, of course, this sees control play too, sees lots of Legacy play, and it's a huge commander card. Also, though, note, this did get reprinted in Mystery Boosters. Number 5 is Mox Amber, down $1.33 to $17.38. Towards the end of the last Standard season, this card was going up pretty aggressively. It was doing well in Standard, and also a lot of people speculated that it was going to get better in Modern with Emery Lurker of the Lock. Did that pan out? Kinda, sort of. I mean, it does see more Modern play. Emery Ascendancy decks are out there. They typically run a couple copies. But the speculation was Urza Outcome was going to come in and run like 3 or 4 copies of this and be a very dominant deck. Well, Oko shows up, and Oko says, wait a minute, I'm going to play with Urza, but we're going to play in Sultai colors and do something a little different. And Mox Amber was kind of left behind. So it didn't see the play a lot of people thought it would see. It is seeing more play, and you got to think down the road, other cards are going to enter formats like Pioneer and Modern, and the card will just get better. And it has picked up a little in Commander because of Emery Lurker of the Lock. but at least for right now, I do think it's going to lose more value before it stabilizes. Number 4 is Shivan Reef, the original one though from Apocalypse. It goes down $1.72 to $9.85. These original Apocalypse Painlands are kind of moving all over the place right now because they are harder to find in good condition. So what you tend to see is some spiking because Pioneer players are picking them up. Some people like to have the original copies of the cards, so they're going out there and spending a little more for these. They dry up quickly in the marketplace. You start to see price spikes because of that. And then people will see the price spike and they'll say to themselves, hey, wait a minute, I have copies of these in my binders at home that I don't use. They go out, sell them to stores or trade them or what have you. More supply gets out there into the market and they start to go back down again. But they usually don't go back down to where they started because there is truly a higher demand for the cards. This particular card is seeing a lot of Pioneer play in different Izzet builds right now, including the 2 different Phoenix builds, in Soul, Aggro, and more. Sees a little modern play sometimes in Gift Storm as well. Number 3 is Pithing Needle. This is the one from 10th edition. It goes down $2.54 to $5.74. This spiked last week, so you're seeing some normalization this week, nothing too unusual. Great sideboard card traditionally for Modern as well as Legacy. And now we're finding it's a good sideboard card for Pioneer too. Number 2 is Thoughtseize. This is the one from Lorwyn. It was going up last week as well, going down this week. It goes down $2.70 to $40.05. Still a great Pioneer card. Still an amazing Modern and Legacy card. This is just retraction off some of the recent spiking that we've been seeing, especially with the Lorwyn copy, which is harder to find in good condition. Number 1 is Jace Vryn's Prodigy. It goes down $3.71 to $36.05. This continues to lose a lot of value. It spiked wildly, remember, back when Pioneer was announced, and a lot of people thought, okay, this was a great Frontier card, stands to reason, should be a great Pioneer card. And it's doing good, but I wouldn't say it's doing great in the format right now. I mean, it's kicking around. You'll find this in some Griskus builds, you'll find this in Esper Rally and some other decks, but it really isn't living up to the hype yet. Now, I will say, from last week to this week, percentage of play is up a little bit. Maybe now, with Oko and Nexus of Fate being banned in the format, this card might have a chance to shine a little more. We'll have to wait and see. It also gets some Modern and a little Vintage play too, so keep an eye on the card, but I do think it's going to lose more value before it stabilizes, unless something changes. Okay, on to the top 7 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 7 is Anointed Procession. It goes up 85 cents to $14.85. A few reasons this is going up, but really it's because of Commander more than anything. One is, of course, this was a card that garnered a little more interest when the Primal Genesis Commander 2019 deck came out recently. More recently, though, Reese the Redeemed was reprinted in Mystery Boosters, another card that plays well with that one. And even more recently, the professor from Tolarian Community College did a Teysa Karlov Commander Deck Tech video this week. And this is one of the cards that was featured, and definitely that will bring a lot of attention to it as well. Beyond that, there's some speculation that maybe this card does get better with Theros Beyond Death because, if nothing else, Daxos Blessed by the Sun is coming to the format. These two could play well together. Number 6 is Supreme Verdict. This is the one from Return to Ravnica, though. It goes up 91 cents to $16.48. We saw the Iconic Masters one going down, this one going up, sort of meeting towards the middle. Number 5, Emrakul, The Promised End, goes up 97 cents to $29.78. A lot of people speculated this could be a big Pioneer card, and it did spike aggressively back when Pioneer started, but then didn't put up the results a lot of people anticipated, started to go back down again. Now, with the bannings this week, again, of Oko and Nexus of Fate, especially Oko, it does open the door for different decks to do well, and maybe this card does see some increased play going forward. Right now, you'll find this sometimes in the sideboard of a pretty popular deck, and that's Lotus Storm. It's also in the side or main of Green Ramp Eldrazi builds, typically. You'll find this in Golgari Delirium and other decks in the format, too. And yes, it does see modern play, sometimes in Tron builds, Legacy, and 12 Post. Number 4 is Jace Architect of Thought from Return to Ravnica. It goes up $1.07 to $4.95. This is one some people were sleeping on when they were trying to figure out which Pioneer cards were going to be great when the format was announced, and now people are starting to realize, you know what? This one's pretty good in Azorius Control, Fire Super Friends, and other decks in the format. Number 3, Crucible of Worlds from 10th edition. This goes up $1.35 to $22.89. And this is trying to find its price point after the Core Set 2019 reprint a little while back. And this is seeing play still in Modern, Legacy, Vintage. Usually just like one copy between the side and the main of the deck that it's in. For example, in Modern, you'll find this in Tron builds. It's also a huge Commander card. Number 2 is Sliver Hive Lord, up $1.67 to $30.05. And yes, this did get reprinted in Mystery Boosters. But the fact that Sliver Overlord is a little easier to get a hold of now because of Kaleidoscope Killers has gotten a lot of people interested in trying to build Sliver Commander decks, so this card continues to go up. Number 1 is a Pain Land from Apocalypse, this time one that's going up. This is Yavimaya Coast, up 629 to 1142. Now, this is a card that's been spiking aggressively this week because it dried up in the marketplace. Maybe it was a targeted buyout, but it's already on the way down as people see the spike and they start to go through their binders and find their copies of this card. So keep an eye on it. It actually has lost a lot of value over the last 24 hours. Now, this was seeing a lot of Pioneer play because of Simic Food, right? But of course, now with Oko being banned, that's going to change. This does see play in other places, though. Lotus Storm, for example, will run this many times in other decks in the format. This also sees Modern play as well. Time for Modern now. With your top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week, Modern is still very slow. A lot of Modern legal cards that are moving up this week are moving up actually due to Commander, not Modern. But there are a few reasons for that we talked about. First off, Pioneer is one of those reasons. People are nervous to engage in Modern until they see how Pioneer is going to affect it. Also, it does water down the player base for sure, as some people are going to decide to play Pioneer and put their time and resources into that format. Also, those mystery booster packs, when they come to stores this spring, they're going to have 121 foil reprints that are not in the current convention product. We don't know what those reprints are, but a lot of people are speculating they could be some of the big Modern cards that could drive sales of that product in stores. So let's see what's happening this week. Number 5, there he is, Oko Thief of Crowns, down 380 to 3684. We know why this is going down in value. It was banned this week, of course, in Pioneer. So now you can't play this in Standard, Pioneer, or Brawl officially. And some people are thinking, maybe Modern is next. It is performing very well there. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, but at least right now, it's still Modern legal and still seeing play in a lot of decks. 2 of the biggest ones right now are Grixis, Death Shadow, and Infect, but it's showing up in a lot of places. Legacy, it's everywhere there too. Bat Miracles, Delver Builds, Infect, Lands, Sultai Control, and more. Sees Vintage play as well. Singleton formats where it's still legal, it shows up there. There's still a lot of demand for this card among different players, but there's a lot of fear out there too that it could become banned in more places in the future, so I do think it will continue to lose value, at least in the short term. Number 4 is another card that saw a ban recently. This is Ren and 6, down 410 to 5492. This one was banned in Legacy, and it's still seeing play in Modern though. You're going to find this in Jund and other decks there, and also it does see Vintage play too. Number 3, Snapcaster Mage from Modern Masters 2017, going down 438 to 5320. You'll find this in Grixis Death Shadow, Bant Snow, Control, and more in the Modern format. Legacy, Miracles builds, Sultai Delver, Control builds, and other decks there. Sees Vintage play too, so why is this dipping so much? Is it really just because of the fact that it might get reprinted this spring, or is there some insider knowledge leaking out? Well, hard to say. It is possible some knowledge of what's being reprinted is getting leaked out there, or it could just simply be that some of these Modern cards are soft because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. Number 2, Stoneforge Mystic from World Wake. It goes down 460 to 4274. This card recently became unbanned in the Modern format for the first time. It spiked wildly when that happened. A lot of speculation that this could be a very powerful Modern card. Turns out it's a good Modern card and can put up good results in Bant Stoneblade, Azorius Control, Eldrazi Taxes. Not as strong, though, as a lot of people thought it was going to be, and because of that, it does continue to lose value. Also remember, though, it sees Legacy play too, Death and Taxes, Maverick, Stoneblade, Dex, and more. So again, I would expect this card to lose more value before it stabilizes, but I wouldn't expect it to completely bottom out. Number 1, Liliana of the Veil. Ultimate Masters down 410 to 6563. Modern Masters 2017 down 495 to 6505. Wow, right? Who would have thought you would see the day where you can pick this card up for such a low price, comparatively anyway. So partially this is going down because of changes in the Modern meta too. I mean, it's still seeing play, but not as much as it was seeing. You will find this in Death Shadow builds, Jund, and more. Legacy, you'll find this in Sultai Delver, 4-color Loam, and other decks there too. But whether it's insider trading or speculation, I think a lot of people feel like maybe a reprinting of this could be coming. Okay, on to the top 7 Modern legal cards that have gained value this week, and like I said earlier, you're going to see a lot of Commander cards here. Number 7 is the first sliver. It goes up 79 cents to 913. Again, we have one of the big slivers going up in value because Sliver Overlord is in Kaleidoscope Killers, a little easier to get a hold of now. Number 6 is Wood Elves. This is the one from Portal, though. It goes up 83 cents to 691. So this is sometimes in Titan Shift builds in Modern, so yes, a card that actually might see some Modern play. but really this particular version is going up because it is drying up this week in the marketplace. Harder and harder to find these portal cards in good condition as time goes on. Number 5, huge commander card, doubling season from Battle Bond, going up 89 cents to 49.46. I was a little surprised this didn't go up more when the Primal Genesis commander deck came out, just because it's just a no-brainer upgrade. But I guess there were enough copies of this circulating with this pretty recent reprint to keep things relatively stable, but I do think as time goes on, this is going to start gaining value again. This is another card that plays well with that aforementioned Mystery Booster reprint, Reese the Redeemed. Number 4, Morophon the Boundless, goes up $1.08 to $6.49. Pretty big percentage increase here, and yet another commander card to talk about. So the main reason this is going up is Kaleidoscope Killers. Sliver Overlord, the Dragon Reaper King, they all play well with this card. Aside from that, there were some Theros Beyond Death preview cards this week that could play well with this in Commander 2 and maybe got some more people thinking about it. And these cards can only be found in theme boosters or collector boosters. And out of that group of cards that can only be found in those two places, these two were the more popular ones, Serpent of Yawning Depths and Deathbellow Warcry. Number 3 is Dark Confidant from Modern Masters 2015. It goes up $1.25 to $54.94. This card was losing a fair amount of value recently because of Wrenn and 6. Basically, Wrenn and 6 is such a solid card. A lot of people wanted to work it into decks like Jund, and you have to cut something, and many times it was Dark Confidants. So this is still seeing play, though, in Jund and the Rock and other decks in Modern. In Legacy, it's in Golgari Depths and 4-color Loam, as well as other places. So I do think this is stabilizing up a little bit since it did lose a fair amount of value. Number 2, Send Triplets up $2.95 to $39.50. This is a huge commander card. And, of course, a lot of people would like to own the card just for that reason, but there's been a lot of attention on it recently. First off, Command Zone Podcast. There's been a number of mentions in recent videos. And secondly, a little bit of a spoiler here if you still want to watch the Game Nights episode that came out a couple weeks ago now, so I'll give you a chance to skip to the next card if you want. But this was the winning commander in that episode. Number 1, Edge of Autumn from Dual Decks Knights vs. Dragons. It goes up $7.55 to $8.94. Okay, so this one is definitely a situation where a card dried up. Probably just a weird buyout. Granted, it has seen some increased commander play recently with Korvold Faker's King, but not enough to warrant a jump like this. Okay, on to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, 93-94, or just cards that are popular among collectors. Alright, the first card is not going up a lot, but I still wanted to point it out. It is Serra's Sanctum, up 84 cents to 99.72. This is on the reserve list. It sees play in Legacy enchantment decks. It's a fantastic commander card if you're playing with enchantments and you happen to own a copy of this. Pretty expensive, though. However, the interest in this card right now is coming from Theros Beyond Death. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of Enchantment Matters cards in that set. One of which that was already previewed, Citizen Champion, maybe one of the better ones, who knows. But this and a lot more will be coming. Reanimate. Here's another one of those Battle Royale cards going up in value, this time 85 cents to 10.92. Now, this does see a lot of Legacy play, and it's a great commander card, too. But again, this is an example of a particular, hard to find in good condition copy of a card drying up. Next is Allurin. This is also on the reserve list. It goes up 85 cents to 29.99. This is in Legacy Allurin decks, and this has seen increased commander play with Chulainn Teller of Tales. Next we have Demonic Tutor. Ultimate Masters up 88 cents to 29.95. Dual Decks Anthology up 88 cents to 32.73. So this card is fantastic in Vintage, fantastic in Commander, has seen increased play because of Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth, a lot of people building around that card. But this also got reprinted recently in Mystery Boosters. It doesn't care though, 2 copies of this still going up in value. Mana Crypt from Eternal Masters goes up $1.25 to $192.65. Another card that has been reprinted in Mystery Boosters. This one did lose value when we saw the card was in the set, but it already is rebounding because it's just such a popular commander card especially. Also sees vintage play though. Next is Force of Will from Alliances, up $1.29 to $89. Great commander card, great vintage card, great legacy card. Plateau from Revised goes up $1.74 to $121.80 on the reserve list clearly because it is a dual land. But I just wanted to show you that some of these revised dual lands still have some life in them. Armored Pegasus. This is another card that just dried up this week on the marketplace. This is one from Magic Anthologies. It goes up $1.78 to $3.77. Another revised dual land on the reserve list with Tundra going up $1.99 to $277.16. Lion's Eye Diamond, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $2.60 to $203.99. And this is seeing more legacy play recently, great vintage card, and has seen increased commander play with Emery Lurker of the Lock. I also kind of think that around this time of year, the Magic Online Vintage Cube does get more attention on certain cards like this one. Whether players are playing the cube themselves or watching streams, it is a reminder that these cards are out there and maybe it does encourage some purchases. Taiga, another revised dual land on the reserve list, going up 305 to 146.78. Mana Drain, this is the original one from Legends. It goes up 1440 this week to 163.89. Great vintage card, great commander card. Nightmare from Unlimited up 1556 to 47.11. Good 93.94 card. And we've seen a lot of cards from Unlimited get hot recently. Here's another one. Drop of Honey on the reserve list goes up $107.45 to $619. Okay, so this is one of those cards that is hard to find in good condition, does not have a lot of online sales in any given week. There's not a lot of copies for sale out there. Because of that, there's not a lot of good data to track pricing. And what the big websites do and what you kind of have to do is look at cards that are for sale as opposed to cards that have sold because there's just no data points. Because of that, high listings, exaggerated listings can throw off price points, and that's what you're seeing here. There's some really high listings out there for this card this week, which is pushing it up. With that being said, if you're really interested to get a lightly played copy of this card, I would expect to pay somewhere around $450, not $620. Kind of the same story here with Time Twister from Unlimited. On the reserve list, it goes up $1,337.51 to $5,500. But again, we have some extreme listings out there. If you want a lightly played copy of this card, I would expect to pay somewhere between $3,000 to maybe $3,300, not $5,500. Okay, on to the Commander Spotlight. A little more life in Commander this week compared to the last few weeks, so let's see what's happening. Overburden back again, up $1 to $15.36. This card has been hot ever since Tulane Teller of Tales has come out, and now that more people are getting their hands on that card because of increased distribution, people are trying to pick this one up again too. Siphon Mine from Commander 2017 up $1.07 to $2.02. Granted, this is one of those situations where a particular copy of the card dried up this week. That's what you're seeing here. But it is a card that has seen some increased commander play recently with Rankle Master of Pranks. Sliver Overlord, even with the reprinting in Kaleidoscope Killers, you can't hold this card back. It goes up $1.24 to $32.34. And I just think this is due to the fact that even though the reprint is out there and more copies are getting in people's hands, there's still more buzz now around Sliver decks because the other Slivers are starting to go up in value. So this one increases this week too. Tainted Pact is back again. It goes up $1.29 to $20.93. This has seen increased commander play recently with Kess Dissonant Mage from Modern Horizons and Jace Wielder and Mysteries from War of the Spark. Last Chance from Portal goes up $1.31 to $13.38. So this does show up in commander decks here or there. Sometimes you'll see it in a deck that's using this to take extra turns if they have ways to mitigate that drawback. But this is mostly going up because it is one of those portal cards that is getting harder and harder to find in good condition. Power Artifact on the reserve list. It goes up $1.48 to $130. So last week I actually put this one on the vintage section because there was a legacy deck running it. Feels like this week that deck kind of fell off a little bit. But this is always going to be a great commander card to play with your artifacts, and it has seen increased play with cards like Urza and Emery coming out. Piracy, 2 copies here. Portal Second Age up $1.33 to $17.98. Starter 1999 up $1.49 to $15.79. This card got hot a couple months ago now when the professor from Tolarian Community College mentioned it. I do see this played in Commander. Sometimes someone will just throw this into a pirate deck just for theming. But I have also seen people use it before they play one of their big spells if they think someone has a counter spell. So it is a pretty fun commander card, a tough card to reprint, and getting harder and harder to find in good condition all the time. Razorclaw Bear, this is one for you Bear Tribal Commander players out there. It's going up $2.99 to $48.49. This is from Portal Second Age, so again, hard to find in good condition nowadays, and it still hasn't been reprinted. Onto the Pauper Spotlight. We have Okiba Gang Shinobi up 55 cents to $3.49. Now, this is the one from Plane Chase Anthology, so maybe it's a case where it did dry up a little bit. However, this is seeing a lot of Pauper play, so I thought I'd mention it anyway. Mardu Aggro, Mono Black Control, Orzhov Pestilence, and more in the format. Another interesting note, this got reprinted in Mystery Boosters, so there are more copies out there, but this is also a fairly popular commander card too. One of the cards that it does get played with many times is Yuriko the Tiger Shadow, which also got reprinted in Mystery Boosters. So that card being more prevalent may have brought some attention back to this card. Kind of a weird one though. Alright, next is the premium spotlight. My quick disclaimer as always, I don't like to spend too much time talking about rare promos or foils because for the same reasons that we talked about with some of those vintage cards, sometimes you just get bad data. But if I can find something that's moving pretty naturally with the market, I try to point it out. This week I went with a card we talked about earlier, Yavimaya Coast from Apocalypse, the foil copy going up 37.20 this week to 73.19. This actually hit an all-time high yesterday. It's come down a little bit since then. Maybe this is a targeted buyout. Maybe some Pioneer players want to bling out their deck. Maybe a little bit of both. That wraps up the market watch for this week. As you can see, things are still pretty slow. There is a little more life than we were seeing the last couple weeks, but I do think we'll see more life in the market as more Theros Beyond Death previews occur over the next few weeks. So keep an eye on things, stay close to the market and what's happening. There could be some big changes potentially. Until next time though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.